medium format actually worth it? You guys absolutely loved my last medium format video, so when Fuji reached out to me and said that they want to send me their GFX 50S2, their medium format camera, I obviously had to say yes because I have personally been dying to try out that camera to see if digital medium format is actually worthwhile. As you saw in my last video with my Mamiya 645, medium format film looks absolutely incredible. The 120 film has so much dynamic range in the highlights and in the shadows. I'm able to really play with the light and the colors after the fact in post-processing, even in Lightroom on a film image. I'm honestly so happy with how all of those images are turning out on that camera, but for digital, I've never actually played with properly and tested out properly a digital medium format camera. So over the last couple months, I've been testing out the Fuji GFX 50S2, and I don't have it anymore. I had to send it back to Fuji, but I managed to shoot about 6 or 8 actual shoots with it, all different kinds of shoots, from headshots, professional headshots, food photography, and then a couple shoots that I'm going to talk about more specifically in this video that were more lifestyle and brand focused. Okay, a few quick notes about the actual camera. The GFX 50S2 is basically a little sister or a little brother to the GFX 100S because it's basically the same camera, just lower resolution. Instead of 100 megapixels, you're getting 51 megapixels in the 50S2. The camera also does have in-body stabilization, which honestly I didn't test out because every shoot that I was using this camera in was a pretty slow, methodic style of shoot. I wasn't running and gunning like a sports photographer would, so I really didn't get to experience that IBIS, but it does have it. The battery life is pretty good, at least in my experience. It's supposed to last around 440 shots, which was about accurate to my experience, and again, it lasted me pretty much for the whole shoot whenever I was out shooting. It has a 3.2-inch rear touchscreen display, which I thought was pretty good. It wasn't incredible, but it was pretty good, and I did like that it had an articulating angle in 2 different directions. No, it didn't swivel out like my A7 IV, but really that's not what this camera is for. This is a photo camera, so I actually had no complaints about the actual screen. The camera comes with a price tag of around 4,000 USD, which honestly, even though that is a lot of money, I thought it would be more until I realized kind of why. I guess in today's day and age of cameras, I'm so used to every camera being like a hybrid camera, performing really well at both photo and video. But the thing with the GFX 50S2 is that it only performs well at photo. Now, yes, you can record full HD video at 30 FPS, but let's be honest, that's obviously really lackluster in comparison to other cameras on the marketplace that can shoot 4K, 8K, 60 FPS, 120, 240 FPS, and so on and so on. This camera is very clearly not a video camera and should not be used as a video camera almost ever because it is literally designed to only take photos. And that being said, that's kind of where the price point makes sense. I feel like if this camera was good at photo and really good at video, like 4K 60 for example, immediately the price tag jumps to 6,000, 6,500, etc. to make it make sense. But I'm kind of happy that this camera is photo only. It means that you have a clear intention with what you're buying and using this camera for. And of course, lenses. Now, Fuji has a pretty extensive list of lenses to choose from for the GFX line, but they sent me 2. The first was the GF55mm f1.7, and the other was the GF 110mm f2. Obviously, both of these lenses, being prime lenses, are at the top of their class, and with a really low aperture like 1.7 and f2 at 110mm, it was a buttery dream when it comes to bokeh. Let's talk about the 2 shoots that I want to focus on for this video. The first shoot was a shoot that I did with my friend Rachel and Britt, and we kind of did a spec shoot for Burton snowboarding. And the reason we did this is because Rachel is actually a Burton Pro athlete, so she gets sent a bunch of Burton gear every single year, and I thought, why not do a really cool spec shoot where we combine both the outdoorsy Burton snowboard gear with a more urban nighttime setting. Anyways, it was absolutely freezing cold this night when we were shooting, so thank God we had these jackets and all this Burton gear with us. Britt was so cold the whole night, it was hilarious. So most of the shots are actually of Rachel, but nonetheless, I'm actually really happy with how they turned out, and the camera performed really well. The other shoot was a shoot I did with Britt for an active wear brand based in Toronto called Charlie Ray, and we shot this in a studio. Very white, bright, airy, and light kind of energy. And again, the pictures turned out really well. Now, what did I like about this camera? First, I loved the body. The body was so large and chunky, and I've mentioned this in past videos. Everyone else on the market is going for smaller, more lightweight, friendly, ergonomic friendly cameras, better to travel with, better to move around with. But I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum where I prefer a heavier, bulkier camera because it just fits in my hand better. I know that's probably a hot take because this camera is heavy and it is thick, but that is what I love. If I owned this camera, I would definitely get the Fuji battery grip that would go underneath it to make it even larger and heavier, but to have that extra ergonomic feeling of being able to shoot vertical in the same orientation for my hands as I would be if I'm shooting horizontal. Second thing I loved was obviously the photo quality. The resolution on these images was absolutely insane, and the dynamic range from the very darkest shadows to the very brightest highlights was crazy. In post-production, the photos were a dream to work with because I had so much latitude to be able to adjust light, color, shadows, all that, and really tweak the image to make it exactly how I want. And there was just something about the images, maybe it was like the micro contrast that comes with medium format cameras. The pictures just feel more elegant, more elevated than a full frame camera. This might just be a placebo, but honestly, I really felt that these pictures looked and felt different. And the third thing I love is the Fuji colors. Now this comes with most new Fuji cameras on the market, but the colors in these cameras that produces on the skin tones, on different attributes in a scene is absolutely gorgeous. Now let's talk about what I didn't love. I've got two things. Okay, the first thing is that you can't really shoot a high burst mode on this camera, which obviously with a camera that shoots 50 megapixel images, you can't expect it to be shooting 10, 12 photos every single second like a camera like my Sony a7 IV would do, but I found it super slow when trying to shoot photos back to back to back. On average, I would say I could snap a photo every 1.5 seconds, which honestly is a long time in the photography world when you have models, moving subjects, moving elements, and all these different things happening. 1.5 seconds between every single photo in today's day and age, in my opinion, is a long time. Now that being said, if you are using a camera like this, you are going to be a lot more intentional with your shooting. You're not going to be running and gunning, shooting a football game like the Super Bowl and aiming to get 10,000, 15,000 images for one shoot. The point with this camera is to be much more methodic, much more thought out, slowed down, and really thinking about every single time you press that shutter button. The second thing, and this is the biggest thing of all and why I honestly sometimes had a hard time using the camera, and that was the autofocus. The autofocus is accurate, don't get me wrong, it's always accurate and tack sharp, but it is slow. It reminds me of like a Canon 70D, Canon 80D, like 2010s era autofocus. That's how slow it is. When you go to half press the shutter button and focus on whatever it is you're focusing on, you can hear the lens and the camera think. It's racking back and forth before, after about a second to 2 seconds, actually getting that focus. Again, I'm so used to the world of having cameras that instantly focus on anything that I half press the shutter on. Before I even realize that it's in focus, it's already there. A camera like the GFX 50S 2 though, not so much. It definitely took a lot of getting used to because I had to really slow down and think about, okay, where is my focus? Am I using zone? Am I using wide? Am I using point focus? And making sure that the focus was actually there before taking the shot. Would I buy this camera? For my current workflow right now, honestly, no. I need a camera that can keep up with the fast-paced run and gun style of shooting that I do for YouTube, Instagram, and all these other social media platforms. And also for my commercial work, the stuff that I shoot requires me to be quick, to be fast, and have all of the tech that is also going to match my speed. If I'm going to weigh the trade-off between having a medium format versus having a full-frame camera that performs better with things like autofocus, for example, then right now, I would prefer to go the full-frame route that performs better. I honestly really wanted to fall in love with this camera more than I did. I love the images. I really like the images, but the workflow just wasn't completely there for me. I can definitely see down the line Fuji getting the autofocus dialed in on the GFX line to be much more faster and much more on par than their other cameras that are mirrorless, for example, or other cameras that are just in the marketplace right now. And at that point, then the decision might be much easier for me to make. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you, Fuji, for sending me the camera and 2 lenses to test out for over 2 months over the holiday break. If you guys like this video, please like it down below, leave a comment, and do not forget to subscribe. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.